How would you score yourself on your knowledge of mediation? Are you familiar with mediation because of a lawsuit or some type of family court situation or even a business litigation in connection with your work? Or have you engaged in mediation through your house of faith, synagogue, temple, or other community center? If you've had that experience, then you have an advanced knowledge over 90% of your neighbors in any working community, because mediation is it's a word that we're familiar with, but we don't truly understand the power of it or how to access it in the most effective ways. And here is kind of like my origin story as a mediator and as an arbitrator, why I began completely redesigning my approach to family disputes, because I found out what I didn't even learn in law school about mediation. And so it's no wonder that so many people in our community are really clueless and only have a very surface level understanding of what mediation is. So I had a colleague from an Asian community who shared with me how marital disputes were often taken to the elders in her community, and I was a little taken aback. I had never heard of this before. I was well into my legal practice by this time. I had been practicing 7 or 8 years at this time when she shared this insight with me, and I was very intrigued. I just kind of tucked it away in one of the files and continued my work, which was primarily litigation. During that time, I did a lot of consumer and family litigation. And at some point in time after that, I accepted a case from a Southeast Asian client who was going through a divorce. And the client didn't speak English. I was very, very attracted to cases with non-English speakers, and still am. Right, just helping people to navigate the system. Like, the system is hard enough for English speakers to navigate. Can you imagine if you didn't speak English having to navigate the legal system? At any rate, the client was going through a divorce and brought me a set of documents that had been signed by him and his wife, and the documents had been prepared by the religious leader of their community. And I was fascinated. I was absolutely fascinated. Although my own religious tradition, it encourages people who are disagreeing with one another to come and talk to a pastor. It's not very common in my own religious tradition to see pastors involved in writing up an agreement. And so when I saw my client's agreement that was prepared by his religious leader, and then I examined it for its sufficiency to move forward with an uncontested divorce, there was nothing I needed to do to change it. This religious leader had done a magnificent job resolving all of the legal issues in the case. I just had to file the case and get a judge to sign off on it, because a divorce can only be granted by a judge, a state judge. So that experience really, really sent me on a journey, because for my own community, the church used to be the community center. It used to be the place where our people would come for answers and to resolve our differences. But over time, the church has taken less of a center stage role and has become more compartmentalized for the purpose of church activity, community activity that has nothing or a lot less to do with actually bringing justice into the lives of people who are at odds with one another and who need help working through their differences. This experience is why I ultimately went to become an arbitrator, because as a person of faith, I am positioned to have these conversations with other people in my faith community about justice, about your legal options, and about the effectiveness of utilizing what's called alternative dispute resolution without ever going to court, without starting with a lawsuit. And that is what I want to impress upon you right now. 99% of people using mediators in the court system today are meeting mediators only after filing a lawsuit, and that is not the only way. And my client, I want to say almost 10 years ago now, was the first time I, as a practicing lawyer, experienced that. And it was because of my client's faith community. Now, his faith community is not the only one. And my former colleague, her community is not the only one. There are several other faith communities who actively practice pre-litigation mediation. And the reason why most of you don't know that is because you're not in those faith communities. But you can begin practicing pre litigation mediation with the help of any mediator, any person who is equipped in navigating disputing parties through difficult conversations and helping you come up with an agreement that can give your future relationship a fighting chance. I grew to hate litigation more and more the longer I practiced family law, because I would see the same families who began their dispute with a lawsuit and end their dispute with a trial in front of a judge coming back to the court year after year after year, because litigation destroyed that relationship. Litigation destroyed the children. Litigation destroyed their bank accounts. And there is another way. So, this is a public service announcement for each and every one of you who are not already in one of these ethnic or faith communities who are actively practicing pre litigation mediation, where the rabbi or the priest or the holy man is the one that you go to who actually works out a legally binding agreement to preserve the future of your relationship. And that could be any kind of contract dispute. It could be a contract, it could be a conversation about financial support. It could be a conversation about co-parenting and how we raise our children. It could be a conversation about a strategic legal separation. And although most faith leaders do not want to deal with divorce, some will, even though we don't necessarily advocate for it. But because litigation has certain types of harms, including financial harm, you want to reach out to a mediator first, and you want to try to involve someone that you and the other person that you're having your dispute with are willing to talk to about your options. A mediator is one of the most skilled individuals to help you count the costs. And one of the number one costs is your ability to show up together at your kid's graduation or at their wedding or once the grandchild you share is born. Mediation can help with preventing divorce and navigate you through some conversations through structured contract building. Divorce and lawsuits are not the only path forward to address your broken heart when your marriage is not working. And I if we can save one family a year from that pain and that traumatic event of litigating a divorce by simply helping to connect you with mediation without a lawsuit, then I will feel that we have achieved a great benchmark in our mission as Law for Love. Be blessed and encouraged.